So rifle shooters are more like we have knee pains, we have feet pains, we have back pains, we have neck pains. So I personally have had disc bulges. I have had gone through a very severe knee injury.
So like, are you planning to play not professionally but like take up any other sport apart from shooting, or you're completely focused on shooting?
No, I we do play other sports for recreation. I love badminton. If not shooting, maybe someday I would have been into badminton. So shooting was one such sport which challenged me to my core. I mean, every day was a different challenge for me.
I assume that you must have missed out a lot on your social life. Like, do you ever like wish to make more friends, or you're happy with where you're now? In this episode, we have Elavenil Valarivan. She is a rifle shooter and an Arjuna Awardee. In this podcast, she talks about her bond that she shares with her coach. She also shares moments which got her into shooting. She talks about her initial challenges. Overall, this is a fun and a casual podcast. Hope you like it. The first thing is, how was your Navratri?
Navratri was amazing. The sad thing is, I fell sick on the last day of Navratri, and I've just been recovering.
Yeah, I could hear that on call.
Yeah.
So like, this was your first Navratri after like a long training period, or you do it every day, every year?
Actually, yes. I think I was in Ahmedabad for Navratri almost after 4 5 years. I don't remember being in Navratri last any of the years, at least not after Tokyo. I don't even remember the year of Tokyo I was there in Navratri or no. No, I don't think so. I think 2019 was the last time when I was in Ahmedabad for Navratri.
So yeah,
18 or 19. I do not even recall it now.
even I was in Gujarat. I was in Gujarat from 2015 to 2020. Yeah, 2020, like first 3 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. So I have like completely been brought up in Ahmedabad, so I'm very close with the Gujarati culture and Navratri.
So like, how did you get into Gujarat? Was it like a family decision, or it was you because of you came here for training?
No. I think I was 2 years old when my family shifted to Ahmedabad. Parents had the exposure of Ahmedabad since the 80s because both my parents were studying in Gujarat University. So they knew how Ahmedabad was as a city, and they really wanted their kids to grow up there. So both my brother and I, my brother did not stay up for a very long time, but I have been completely brought up in Ahmedabad.
Yeah. So when did you get into shooting? I mean, was it at what age, and how did it happen?
Shooting was a mere coincidence for me, I'll be very honest. I was into sports since my childhood days. I remember being into sports. I was into athletics, I was into judo, I was into badminton. I always tried up new sports. But shooting was a complete coincidence. We met one of my dad's student's daughter. Dad used to teach in a school way back in the 90s. And so this uncle, we met him one random day. I think it was 2012, 13. And he was like, my daughter is into shooting. Why don't you, just come up and have an exposure to the sport? And for me, shooting was like the movie wala shooting.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, there's something interesting going on. Why not? We'll go and have a check. But then later I got to know that shooting is a sport, and it's an Olympic sport, and people take up the sport, and they aim for the Olympics and go ahead with it. So it was a very new thing that I got to know, and it was my dad who really wanted me to try up the sport.
Because
So that is how shooting happened to me.
Because when I was in Gujarat, I vividly remember skating is one of the most popular sport in Gujarat. I mean, because skating, I feel that a lot of Gujaratis are into skating, because I went to state level tournaments and I could see that how Gujaratis were into it. I mean, like, if you are in Gujarat, of course, there would be Gujarati, they would be everywhere. But I felt that skating was something which I don't know. I mean, like, they had it like everything.
I do remember going to few skating rings, learning
Hmm.
skating. I know
Yeah.
skating, but I never took it up as a sport. It was more for more as an hobby for me.
You know, as a kid, you said you started on in 2012. I believe you must be like 16 or 17 by that time.
I was 13.
Okay.
I took up shooting as a professional sport when I was 15 years old. That is 2014. That is when I started shooting as a professional sport. So there was a scheme by the Gujarat government, Sports Authority of Gujarat. They started district level sports schools in all over Gujarat. So a few schools were chosen specially for sports, and the kids, whoever wanted to take up sports, would be given the education, would be given with the stay, the accommodation, would be given with food and all the necessary requirements so that the athlete can focus on the sport and studies would be the next priority. So I was chosen for that scheme for shooting in 2014 when Gujarat government had signed an MOU with Gun for Glory Shooting Academy by Gagan Narang. So we were given with coaches and the equipment and facilities all by Gun for Glory Shooting Academy, and this particular schools had the complete setup for the shooting sport. I opted for one such school called Sanskrit in Gujarat, and I started training there. So that is how I started shooting professionally.
Huh.
That is when I had a dedicated coach. I was training every day. Till then, till 2014, shooting was just a sport, which I was doing with all the other sports. But from 2014, it became the only sport that I was religiously training every day.
So, like, tell me more about like those initial 2 years, because how were you trained? Because shooting involves a lot of focus, as well as it involves stillness, which rarely any young kids have, which I can even relate to it, because I was into various games. I was into badminton, swimming, gymnastics, and when I was in eighth grade, my mom asked me to go for chess, but then I couldn't control myself because I had to sit there for like half an hour, 1 hour, like, and I could remember I would get so anxious of not doing anything.
I think I had the very similar feeling when I was introduced to the sport because for me, I'm a kind of person who likes to run around, who
Yeah,
likes to do everything all at
yeah.
once. So for me to stand still for like 10 minutes was a big challenge, and I loved that challenge. I was like, so shooting was one such sport which challenged me to my core. I mean, every day was a different challenge for me. Every day I was learning something new. Every day was new, and every day I was like, okay, I just feel like running away from the sport. And that particular feeling was that one thing that made me hooked to the sport till today. I mean, believe me when I'm telling you this sport has challenged me to my core.
Mhm.
I mean, for me to stay still
Yeah.
like for 60 minutes was a very big thing. So that challenge, that was that one thing that made me stay in the sport till date. And as I told, like 30 minutes for chess, I think when I train nowadays, we train for like 3 hours, 4 hours straight
Yeah.
with breaks in
Mhm.
between. So to keep myself calm, to keep myself composed for that whole 3 4 hour period was something very challenging, and I loved that challenge. I was like, okay, I need to see how I can push my limits, how much I can keep myself in control, and that is that one thing that pushed me to my core.
Yeah, I mean, like, that is a really good mindset that you opted at such a young age, because mostly kids then they think that, okay, no, I don't want to do this sport because I don't like it. But you took it in a different manner, I feel.
So I always felt that, I always liked challenges, being challenged throughout. So when I had this particular thing of, being
Yeah.
challenging myself of staying still, I think that is something that I really looked forward to conquering. So I really, really loved the sport. I really started being engaged with the sport to a very core level.
So I feel that it's not wrong to say that the only thing that got you into shooting is stillness of the game which it has.
Yes, one of the major things, because later on I started learning so much about the sport. I just kept on getting hooked into the sport more and more. I started learning so much about the sport because being an outsider, it just comes down to, oh, they're just standing still, they are just
Yeah,
shooting, they're
yeah.
having a good
Hmm.
time. But in depth, it is like we are controlling our entire body, we are controlling our mind, we are controlling all our senses. We are not even moving an inch. When I am taking a shot, I am not moving any part of my body, and it all comes down to how slowly I can move my one finger, and I'm able to take that shot with all that precision.
Yeah. I was talking to Palak Gulia like few weeks ago, and even she said that as a shooter, like there is no physical movement that is involved, but you have to be mentally prepared. You have to work on your mental fitness a lot. So, like, could you elaborate on that? Like, how did you face it? What were your initial challenges?
I completely agree with what Palak has said, because our sport at the end of the day comes down to 80% how mentally strong
Yeah.
we are. Because you can be absolutely tired with travel, with the workout, with your previous day's training. But if you are mentally stable, if you are able to control your mind, if you just know that, it all comes down to that 30 seconds of focus, 30 seconds of keeping your whole body in check, whole body in control, and you just know that, those 30 seconds, it is like that movie Chak De India where he says, wo 70 minute
Yeah.
wala dialogue. It all comes down to that one shot. It all comes down to that 30 seconds where you just know that you are in control of your absolute self. You just know that the next 4 seconds you can be your absolute, you are in your absolute stillness state, you are in your absolute calm mental state. You just know that you are ready to take that shot. And having that mental capacity to train ourselves, for 60 times. We do not train for 60 shots, we are training for 100, 200 shots a day, so that when it comes down to that 1 hour 15 minutes of having our absolute best, we are able to deliver that absolute best.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with having that level of commitment to the mental health and mental fitness.
You know, so I also like talked about injuries with her, and even she said like shoulder injuries are like something which happens in the long run. But have you been through this? Any injuries?
I presume Palak is a pistol
Yeah,
shooter,
yeah.
right? So pistol shooters are more prone to shoulder injuries, but rifle shooter, we are prone to every other injury. You ask us if we have been through something, we'll be yes, we'll be like yes. So rifle shooters are more like, we have knee pains, we have feet pains, we have back pains, we have neck pains. So I personally have had disc bulges. I have had gone through a very severe knee injury. I have been through feet pain, terrible feet pains. Like I'm not able to stand for like 10 shots, and I have to leave my position, take a few minutes break, and then again start up with the same pace. So we are definitely prone to injuries because, again, a sport in which you have a lot of movement, you have injuries in accordance with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And people feel that we are just standing still, we do not get any aches or pains, but I feel that standing still is even
yeah.
more prone to injuries because we are in control of each and every muscle. We are in a very weird position as a rifle shooter. The one thing that I have heard from many of the athletes is like, we have back pains because we are taking the whole 5 kg weight on our back. We are not moving, and we are in that particular position for 3 hours, 4 hours every single day. So how much ever we work out, we try to reverse that, but we are again doing the same thing the next
Yeah,
day. It is like a loop. We are trying to reverse the loop. We are doing the same thing again. We are ending up with the same
yeah.
pain. We are again trying to reverse the loop, and we are again going back to the same training session. So I think injuries are bound to happen. We try our best to recover from that. But I don't think that is something that is in our control. We can always work on our position, posture in shooting, but I think the pain is inevitable.
Yeah, that is, I guess, that is a life lesson, I would say. So,
That definitely
yeah.
is. I've just learned to live with all my aches and pains and trying to push through
Yeah,
it.
I was in the same mindset like 2 years ago because I was training for gymnastics. Now, I wasn't planning to prepare any competition, but just,
I presume that you also have tried up a lot of sport, seeing you gone through chess
yeah,
and gymnastics
you take
and all.
the sport name and I have done it. The most common ones. My favorite
Okay.
sport was I'll do anything apart from football and cricket. That was the.
Oh my God, I same. Believe me when I'm telling you this, same. I think football, cricket, and hockey are the only three sports which I've never tried my hands on. Rest, you name the sport, and I would have played.
Same. So what used to happen is during my school, I would train for gymnastics all by myself. I would see that all my PT teacher and my principal sir, they were all scared that I would get myself injured because there was no proper guidance for gymnastics, and I was the only one who would do gymnastics on the field or either on the yoga mats.
So I'll tell you
Yeah.
one little similarity that we have. So I really wanted to take up gymnastics, but in 2013-14, gymnastics was not a really popular
Yeah.
sport, and we did not have anyone who could teach me gymnastics in Ahmedabad because I remember asking my parents to search up places for gymnastics, but we did not find any. And back in 2018, when I was really into shooting, and when my cousin, my aunt's daughter, was, I think, 4 years old, I searched up places, and my parents took her to that gymnastic place. So yes, I did want to take up gymnastics, but I did not get anyone who would who would teach me the sport.
So like, are you planning to play not professionally, but like take up any other sport apart from shooting, or you're completely focused on shooting?
No, I we do play other sports for recreation. I love badminton. If not shooting, maybe someday I would have been into badminton. So I really love doing badminton. I have recently learned swimming 3 years back. So I've been training my hands in swimming too, but they are all just for recreation and nothing professional.
Yeah, I feel swimming is somewhere one of the safest sport to play as well, because it could be done at any age, as well as there are far less injuries compared to other sports. I mean, there are injuries, but like far less compared to other sports.
I agree, but someone like me who loved
Huh.
water and who always was scared of a swimming pool, for me to take up the sport and learn, I mean, to take up swimming and learn it was a big challenge. But I really loved every inch of
Yeah.
me being in the pool.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying that I hated my training every day, but I still did it anyhow. Like, do you still have that? Do you relate with that line?
Believe me, the sport has challenged me to my core, where there have been instances when I have gone up to my coach and I'm like, I think I should take a pause. I think I should take a
Yeah.
break. I just want to run away from here. But at all those points, I remember my coach being my strongest pillar of support. If not for her, I would have given up shooting long, long back. I mean, I hands down put my hands on my heart and say that it was because of her that, I'm still in the sport, I'm still loving the sport, and I'm still learning from the sport. There has not been one, two, but so many instances. As I told, the sport has challenged
Yeah.
me. There were so many ups and downs in my career, and there were times when I was just giving up. I was on the verge of giving up, and it was my coach who held my
Yeah.
hand very strongly and made me be my sane self.
Yeah, you know, I feel that one of the most common thing between all the athletes is the relationship that they share with their coach. That is, it is more of like a parents come coach relationship at the end, because every athlete goes through this really low phase professionally, mentally, and emotionally. Because I can still feel out that, not making it to Olympics individual event. And then I'm sure your coach must have helped you more than your parents or your friends.
I think now when I look back through my whole journey for the past almost a decade now, I feel that I have stayed with my coach more than I have stayed with my
Yeah.
parents. I think past 7 years I have been in Chennai, I have been staying alone, I've been training. But the one person who I have always counted on is my coach. Let it be any time of the 24 hours day, and I'm very sure if there was 25 hours,
Yeah.
my coach would have not still hesitated picking up my call at late night at 3 a.m. or early morning at 5. I mean, there has never been a time when she would have missed up my call or should have missed up, being there supporting me. So yeah, now when I look back, I can completely stand by what you just said.
Yeah.
That I think coach has become more of a parent to me now than what my parent has to
Yeah.
be.
I mean, like, that is a perfect relationship to be in, I must say. So, like, how long you have been with her?
I professionally,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, Sanskar Dham, when Gujarat government had signed an MOU with Gun for Glory, she was the coach that was sent to the school to train the kids from the grassroots level. So she is my first professional coach, and I'm her first professional athlete.
Oh, that's amazing.
So our journey has been like learning for both of us.
Yeah.
I have learned the sport through her, and she has learned. I am sure she has.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm sure she has also learned the sport the way I have.
Yeah.
So it has been learning for both of us, and we have been together. Touchwood, it's been almost a decade now, and there are no plans of going anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to ask, like, what were the differences that you observed in, the coaching that happened initially and then getting under a professional coach. So, like, that doesn't apply here. So,
Yeah, I mean, I have trained with international coaches, I have trained with national coaches, but somewhere it has all come down to the level of understanding what my personal coach and I share. I do not, if I'm standing on the lane, if I'm shooting a very intense match, I do not have to tell her what I'm
yeah.
feeling. She just knows it from my body language, she just gets it from my face. So it has all come down to that level, and I know that if she is standing like 30 meters away from me, and if she is instructing me to do something, I just know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, she did not does not have to communicate that to me. She just have to look at me. She just have to say that it's absolutely fine. I mean, I don't even have to.
Yeah.
She do not even have to put up some signage for me to
Yeah.
understand. I just know it, that what she's trying to
Yeah.
say and what I am feeling on the lane.
Yeah.
So it has just come down to that, having that level of understanding.
Well, I must say that that definitely is an amazing place to be in with your coach, because a lot of athletes, I mean, they have the amazing coach, but then, as you mentioned, as you described the bond which you share, specifically that the telepathy thing, that they don't have to say, you don't have to say.
It happens. It happens. Oh my God. There have been instances when I give her that Chak De India wala reference, and I'm like, do you sometimes feel that
Yeah.
you're thinking of me looking at you when I have actually done that? So we do have the shares of jokes around.
Yeah, and like, I assume that you must have missed out a lot on your social life. Like, do you ever like wish to make more friends, or you're happy with where you're now?
I think I have learned to live this way. I mean, if you would have asked the 10-year-old, 11-year-old Ela that how socially well you are, that little girl would have been like, I have 100 friends, I go out with these people, I go out with these people. But now, if you would ask me the same question, I think I'm happy having a chai with my coach, discussing shooting, discussing everything other than shooting, discussing where we would like to have our month-long vacation,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hypothetical vacation, and planning for it. So I think somewhere down my whole professional sporting career, I have learned to be happy where I am.
Hmm.
It is not about thinking about, it would have been better if I had had
Hmm.
friends. It would have been, yes, there was a time when my friends used to call me during my school days, during my college days, which I have very meticulously missed upon.
Hmm.
But I think somewhere I just wanted to be associated with the sport, and somewhere where my friends, with whom even till date I am in touch with, somewhere they also understood that, whatever happened, she is not going to
Hmm.
come on Sunday morning shopping spree or a
Yeah.
movie date with them. So somewhere it was a big understanding what we had amongst us. So I think now when I look back, I have always have got my friends, but if you'll ask me, somewhere down the lane, I have learned to live with being myself, being independent,
Yeah.
uh, enjoying a cup of tea on my own.
Yeah. And what I have observed so far is, no matter how close you are to your friends, coach, your parents, the first experience, whether be it failure or success, it is you who has to face it. And
Yes, I think, sorry
yeah,
to interrupt you, but when you tell
yeah,
me this, I think the sport makes us that
yeah,
way. I mean, shooting being such an individualistic sport, it just comes down to what I am feeling and learning to live with that feeling. No matter how many psychologists I would have had, no matter how many coaches would have come and told me it's okay, it's fine, you will get back stronger.
yeah,
No matter how many people would come and tell me that, but it all comes down to what I am
yeah,
feeling at the
yeah,
end of the day and how well I am learning to live with that feeling.
true. I mean, like, it is all, people say that it is related to external environment, but they fail to understand that it is all within us. Like how we perceive it, how we react to it. I mean, no amount of, yeah,
That's the
yeah,
absolute way to put it. It's all within us. How you want to take it. You want to just move on with it. You want to live with that. You want to walk through it. You want to fight it. It all comes down to how you are feeling within. That's absolutely true.
so like if I were to look back in time, like a decade ago, like what are your takeaways? Like not only in shooting, but like every aspect. Like what are like 2 3 life learnings that you would like to like point out?
I think the one very big thing shooting has taught me, because shooting
Hmm.
has been the most integral part of my whole life. I mean, I'm 25 years old now and I have been with shooting for almost 13 years, 9
Yeah.
professionally, 4 just getting to know the sport. I think the one thing that I have learned and I would take up ahead for the next 50 years, 60 years of my life is to believe in myself no matter
Hmm.
what. To no matter what the second person is telling me, if I have that belief in myself that I can do it, if I can achieve it, no matter what, let it be professional life, let it be personal life, let it be any little thing to the core, if I am believing in myself, I think I have achieved what I wanted.
Yeah.
I think that belief, that self belief, is that one thing that I have taken ages to learn, and which I will be learning again for the next 40, 50 years of my life, and which I would be treasuring to my heart.
Yeah.
I think that one thing is that main essence that shooting has taught me, to believe in myself no matter what is happening around me.
Yeah. So like, does this apply to all the shooters or like specifically you? Or I mean, like, see, believing in
I
yourself.
am
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Eh,
I am not very sure about
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
shooters, because the sport is so
Hmm.
individualistic. It all comes down to what I am
Hmm.
thinking, what I am doing on lane, off
Hmm.
lane, how disciplined I am. So it all comes down to how well I have maintained myself. So I think I can speak for myself. So for me, that has worked, and I think it has been working for me.
Hmm. I mean, of course, believing in yourself is something that works for everyone. I feel, because I mean, like, that is the only skill that you want. Because if you do that, the half of the bridge is crossed. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. You believe in yourself, and they say that half of the problem is already solved there. Half of the
Yeah.
problem, half of the success is already there.
Uh, while having a conversation till now, I feel that you must have gotten through this, like, I would say, like, minimum of effort. But I still want to, like, get on that point where, like, how did you, like, comprehend that feeling of not getting into Olympics, like individual event? I mean,
I'm still trying to learn from whatever had happened at the Olympics. I mean, I did play the individual
yeah.
event. I was playing both the individual and the mixed event. The mixed match was the first
Yeah.
one, so my partner and I, did not really have a great match. We were somewhere still trying to grasp in all the feeling of the Olympics. But somewhere in my individual match, it was completely opposite. I was my absolute best. I just knew that, I can just be myself, and that's all I had to give that day. I did not have to put in any extra efforts. I did not have to push myself or, fight through that feeling. I just knew that I just have to be the absolute same what I am, and I can be the best of myself. I can give the best of the results. But somewhere being and on having missed out on the finals of the individual event, I feel that there is so much the sport still has to teach
Yeah.
me, and I'm still learning from it. To put it more easily, I would say that it's an
Yeah.
heartbreak, but I'm learning from that.
I was about to say that because, like, it hurts. I would say not less than a heartbreak, but at least I would say not even more than that. It is somewhere similar to heartbreak without any second person being involved.
It is an heartbreak, definitely, because I had been very tirelessly working towards the one goal. But when I look back, the way I have learnt the sport, the way I have evolved around the sport, I feel that I have learned so much. I am still learning. The learning curve has not stopped
Yeah.
yet. And the way the sport is teaching me every single day, I'm just grateful for it. And I'm very grateful that I've got an opportunity to be there in the first place. So, yes, the heartbreak is there, the feeling is there. But I feel that the learning what I've got from Paris, especially, I'm going to treasure it for my life.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to say on this, but yeah, I'll just say that you'll do great. I'm sure you've been through all this and you'll go through this. I want to, like, know more on what is the role of timing in shooting, in rifle shooting. What role does timing play? You say that you have specific time for a particular game.
Exactly. Our sport is like 1 hour, 15 minutes, and plus 15 minutes of sighters. So it's like 1 hour, 30 minutes of intense focus and concentration. So we train ourselves to be in that in that zone for till we can push ourselves. So again, it all comes down to one particular shot. It is not 60 shots that we are aiming for that one absolute best shot, and that one absolute best shot would be coming down to, let's say, 30 to 35 seconds. And we are training to have the absolute control of ourselves for those 35 seconds, and repeating those 35 seconds for like 70 times, 80 times in the competition, and for which we are training for almost like 200 times, 150 times every single day. So we are training to have that absolute best and precise 35 seconds
Yeah.
of that time.
Yeah.
So we very meticulously plan out those 35 seconds. For me as an athlete, I have my whole technique, the whole one shot written down to the core, and working on that for those 35 seconds. We work on it mentally. We visualize that 35 those 35 seconds or 30 seconds. We are like absolute in depth with our body on how well our body gets in those 35 seconds. It's all about learning how well we can utilize those 35 seconds and have an absolute best shot.
Yeah. So coming to the shot, uh, do you get to know when the right when you're firing that is this shot going to have a certain point or is this not going to make it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. This especially happens when we make a
Yeah.
blunder. We know that, oh my God,
Yeah.
we did
Yeah.
this, and this is not going to be a
Yeah.
great shot.
Yeah.
So, yes, we do. I mean, I do get it.
Mhm.
Especially after the shot, we have something called a recoil in which the weapon jumps a
Mhm.
little after
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
shot. For me, I mean, that recoil is like, that is the best teacher that I have ever
Mhm.
had. That teaches me so much about my body. I just know that, okay, I moved my
Mhm.
body, or I missed out on my breathing,
Mhm.
or I was looking somewhere else when I was taking the shot,
Mhm.
or I missed out on this particular thing. And this happens in those micro
Yeah.
seconds, in that
Yeah.
milliseconds, just after the shot has been
Yeah.
fired. So, yes, I absolutely know that what
Yeah.
blunder I have made in that particular shot.
So, being that shooting requires a lot of mental strength. So, in physical games, we involve, if we require rest, then we take a nap or we take some, calming exercises. But when it comes to mental relaxation, what is your go to go?
I think for me, I like to have my personal space at the end of the day when, I had absolutely given my everything to my skill, to my mental workout, to my physical workout. At the end of the day, I just feel that I need to rejuvenate my whole self and recover. So for me, it comes down to having my family
Yeah.
time, spending time with my parents, having a video call with them, talking to my brother, chit chatting with my coach on planning my next day,
Mhm.
on how we are going to work on it, what are the areas that we need to work on, my areas of improvement. So it all, for me, it comes down to having my time with my inner circle
Yeah.
people. So for me, that's really important for me to rejuvenate from my entire day of training and mental fitness.
So, there are a lot of athletes who stay away from cell phone as well as people they love as a part of sacrifice to the sports. Do you do that or it's not with you?
I think it happens over the period of time. As I mentioned, I have been staying, I train in
Yeah.
Chennai. So I train in Chennai, my parents stay in
Hmm.
Ahmedabad. So that has already been a very long distance for a very long
Yeah.
time now. I think it's been almost 7 years that I have been staying away from them. And it's been even longer period that I've been staying away from my brother.
Yeah.
I just feel that these are the things that you do wantingly because of the love that you have for the
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
I think it is not an
Yeah.
compulsion that you have to do,
Yeah.
have to make the sacrifice, but you eventually do it
Yeah.
because you know what is best for you, what is best for your sport. And if you have to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
There is no if or but, then it will come down to. So you just do it and you do it with all your
Yeah.
heart. It is not that again
Yeah.
you are doing it
Hmm.
unwillingly. You just do it.
Yeah. I feel that you become selfish when it comes to after a certain point where you don't want anything to affect your game, like whether be it family,
Exactly.
whether be it any external event. You just try to zone out
I
yourself.
I'll completely agree with what you just said. Selfish is that absolute
Yeah.
word. Because if I have to go out for a dinner with my friends, I would be thinking on the reverse way that, okay, tomorrow I have training. If I'll go out with my friends, it'll at least be like 11 o'clock, I'd be returning back. I'd already be missing half an hour of my sleep. And then when I'm out with my friends, we would be having a great time. I'll be on my absolute best energy. And then will I be able to have the same energy for my sport the next day? Will I be able to give my absolute best for my training the next day? So it all comes down to, okay, maybe I can postpone the dinner for some other time. Maybe I'll have the dinner when I'm on my off
Yeah.
period. So it all comes down to, planning so much, giving your absolute self to the sport. It all comes down to, you just know it that, if you'll do this, it is going to impact your sport,
Mhm.
and you're stopping yourself there from doing that particular thing.
Yeah. So, did you ever think of, doing a job or focusing on your studies first and then keeping your sport on a second priority, because a lot of athletes, they get, yeah, they always think that okay, sports at the end of the day, it won't last long. What would be is either I get a good job, or either at least I complete my studies. So like, what was your take on that?
I think I would give this up to my parents
Mm-hmm.
because they have been very supportive throughout my career. At times when even as I had mentioned earlier, at times when I felt like giving up, they were one of those very few people who were standing by my side and pushing me to my best. So I never had that compulsion of getting the absolute best marks, let it be in my school, let it be in my college times, or to take up a job and earn a livelihood.
Yeah.
For me, I knew that they are there to support me no matter what I choose to do. If today I'm going and telling them, okay, I'm done with my sport, I want to study, I want to go abroad and I want to study, I don't think they would be questioning my decision on
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And they would be absolutely okay with me taking such a decision because they know that if I'm doing, they have the trust in me that whatever I'm doing, I would have thought about it and I would have very religiously taken that decision.
Yeah.
So the trust what they have in me, I think that is somewhere have been pushing me so much to do my absolute best in the sport. So never have I have ever felt I've done my masters in English
Yeah.
and I still want to pursue my PhD. But never ever there has been an instance where my parents has pressurized
Mm.
me in doing something, let it be education or let it be sports. So I think having that support from them has really kept me mentally free from, taking up education in a very serious way.
Mm-hmm.
I always loved
Yeah.
studying. I want to study more,
Mm-hmm.
but it was not like, oh my God, I have to study. I am having a competition and I have an exam,
Mm.
then I would be missing out on my competition and going for
Yeah.
my exam because I started sports in my 10th
Mm.
standard when I was like, maybe I wanted to do engineering and I was like, maybe I should focus on my 10th grade and everything. And I was having this discussion with my parents. My mom, she was like, if you love shooting, why not
Mm.
give up those 3 or 4 year period? You can always do engineering. No one is going to stop you from doing that. But
Mm.
if you really like the sport, why not give yourself that time and that particular space for the sport? Why not? So it was my mom who took that call of me starting shooting in my 10th standard
Mm-hmm.
professionally. For me as a 14-year-old 15-year-old, I would have never taken that decision, of taking up shooting as a professional sport in my 10th grade,
Mm-hmm.
but it was my parents.
Yeah.
So somewhere their support is something that has played a very crucial role in my sport.
Yeah, I mean, that does raise a standard for parents. I mean, uh, that is amazing, to be honest. I mean, yeah, every athlete needs and has that common trait in their parents. Like, when parents, they are really willing to raise you as a person that you are, and not trying to mold you in something which you aren't. So, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I'm very glad that my parents had always left me independently to take my choices and go with my decisions. So I'm very, very, very glad.
Yeah, coming to equipments that are used in rifle, so like, so you can talk on.
Sorry, I have please get up with the question again.
uh, I wanted to talk on the equipments that are used in shooting.
So rifle as an event is gets a little
Mhm.
costly because our weapons are all German manufactured and uh, we have to buy it from abroad from the company called Walther. There are a few companies, Walther, Feinbach, and many more Steyr. But my rifle is from Walther and when I had to get my first weapon, it was a very big call for my parents whether they had to spend lakhs on a
Mm.
weapon
Yeah.
because our weapon comes down to 2 to 3 lakhs. And as a parent, them thinking whether we have to make such a big spend on something which they did not know if I would be continuing or not was a big call for them.
Yeah.
So again, it is a little costlier sport, But once we are doing well, we do get sponsorships from the state government, from the Indian government, from the sporting companies as well.
Yeah.
So yes, although the sport takes a little chunk
Yeah.
of money in starting, but eventually it gets better.
Similar thing, I can I can surely bet on that even my parents would have thought like that, because I have tried so many sports. I still remember while I was playing lawn tennis, I have broken 4 lawn tennis rackets, each costing around 4-5 thousand. Because the first one is the beginner racket that we take, that is hardly around 1500, but the next few rackets were 4000, 5000, and my coach would say that, yeah, he's playing well, he can do better, so like you can go for better rackets. So yeah, yeah.
Upgrading, yes.
Similarly, and one of the the only sport that I'm emotionally attached to it is lawn tennis, because I wanted to be a lawn tennis player, and after a certain age I realized that okay, I cannot follow this. And similar thing happened in skating. I still remember I started skating in 4th grade, and like after like 10 years after that, when I was 14, I was preparing for state level as well as district level.
Oh wow.
And even during skating, my parents have purchased one like 40-50,000 rupees skates, the professional skates, and it's still there, it's still in my wardrobe, and I still look at it, and I thank my parents that, oh my god, they have taken such a financial, I would say, gamble on me. I won't even say a decision, but yeah.
That's there. Yeah, it comes down to having a very good support system.
So coming to the end of the podcast, like, what is one thing that you would say to your younger self as a shooter that someone who is amateur can take up?
I think I would stick to the same line that I said a few
Yeah.
minutes back, to just believe in myself. I mean, if I have to speak to the 13-year-old Ela, if I have to tell her something, I would tell her that believe in yourself, and there is nothing that's stopping you.
Yeah.
Just believe in yourself, go with that same zeal, same enthusiasm,
Yeah.
and there is no stopping you.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think that is one thing that is very close to me, and I would keep on repeating it to myself.
Thank you for being on this show, I would say, Ella.
Thank you so much for having me on the Athlete Show. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, reliving all my happy moments in the sport and in my life. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.